Hey everyone, welcome back to YouTube. So I want to give you guys some secrets today, and I say secrets, but a lot of this stuff, well, I'll just say this. It's not very common knowledge for relationships, but as men, these are things that we should be doing. Now, it's taken me a long time to figure this stuff out. I'm 37 now, and my wife has been one of the ones that has helped me to learn these skills so that I could actually have a better relationship with her. Now, not every woman is the same, so we won't do that, but there are some similar frequencies all women kind of operate on. And if you do these three things in your relationship, you will absolutely change the dynamic and give them the ability to believe that you are a safe space holder. Why is that even important? This is what's really key about this is that most women out there want to have safety. Now, us men, we don't really comprehend that because we say, oh, I can shoot guns, I can fight, I'll protect you. What do you mean you're not safe? That's not the conversation that women are having. Women want energetic and emotional safety. And what that means is they want to be able to feel free to kind of lay themselves out there emotionally and energetically and feel as though they are held and contained and not necessarily trying to solve a problem or feeling judged or feeling accused of being stupid or things like that. What men are not good at is this particular skill set. So it ends up causing a lot of rifts in your relationships. Your spouses or long-term, partners don't feel safe coming to you. And it causes so much friction that it really creates a problem in long-term relationships. I've seen this, I've heard about it. I've experienced it, and it's something that I really want us to address as men. I think there are some key elements to doing this. So I'm going to give you guys three of these tools that I think every man should be doing in a relationship to really help them with improving that relationship and also help them with improving their ability to hold this space that women are so desperately crave. They crave it so much. I actually created a course to help them understand us and why it's hard for us to give it to them, because they feel as though like they are just being completely neglected. But what really is the thing is that most of us men don't have a reference point for what they're speaking to, because safety for us equals something very different, right? But women seek that safety in that emotional and that energetic space, and that's what causes them to drift away from their partners, because of the fact that they're sitting there being like, I cannot receive it from this man. And then what happens is the flip side of things is that there is the over feminized man who can give that to them, but he literally can't give them physical safety, and he literally can't give them like that strong masculine presence. So then they can't go that direction either. But what we need to do as men of evolution, as men trying to get better, is figure this out, because that way they do get the real strong, positive, healthy masculine that they so desperately crave, added with the benefit of understanding how to truly hold that space so they can feel very embodied in their femininity. Now, why do I even care to give you guys all of this? Because at the end of the day, both men and women, you guys deserve to have great relationships. And number two, if you guys want to have more intimate relationships, this is the key to doing it. Women are crock pots. Women got to be warmed up. They take a while to get ramped up, and they need that through that emotional support. They need to be attracted and they need to be turned on by that support that you're giving them. And so when you do this, you are actually improving your ability to have intimacy in your relationship, and you're also giving yourself the ability to be somebody who truly understands the woman that he's with. Now, I think this is really something that all men need to jump into. It's not going to work right off the bat. I will promise you, you're going to suck at this, just like anything that's new to you. You're going to suck at this. But the more you practice it in your relationship, the more you implement these three things in your relationship, the more you're going to actually be able to flex that muscle, similar to the gym, right? You guys have maybe heard me talk about this before, but I talk about it all the time. These things of being personally developed or independently developed is the fact that we're just flexing a muscle repeatedly, just like the gym, in creating size and creating tone. And then we're creating the ability to look good, right? Like that's kind of the added, and be healthy, right? Those are the added benefits. And that's the same thing with relationships. We are just flexing muscles to then eventually be that partner that really they need and have a healthy relationship, right? And that's where we have the balance of all of this. So let's dive in. The three things that men need to be doing in relationships. The first one is how to regulate your emotional state. So one of the biggest flaws I found out that I was committing, and I see a lot of men commit. The first reason why men commit this is because we love to tell everybody we're not emotional beings. But yes, every man is very emotional, which is why most men tend to act out of anger. Most men tend to act out of aggression. Most men tend to act out of sadness, out of desperation, out of despair. Like these are things, these are okay emotions to act out of. And men are so quick to allow those emotions to drive their actions, especially in relationships. And so if we learn how to emotionally regulate ourselves, what do I mean by this? Well, when your wife or your long-term girlfriend is sitting there saying something and you start to feel like you're being attacked, that's when you get angry and you react out, right? So this is where we end up probably most of the times projecting an insecurity out on them. And then that's why we get defensive. This is what we're talking about when our emotions drive our actions and drive our responses. We don't want to do that, because majority of the time what's going on over there with them is nothing to do with us, even though we take it as a personal attack. So it's being able to remain objective and emotionally regulate yourself in the moment so you don't meet them where they're at. Now, the one way that I have found very effective in doing this is to identify their emotional state and literally do not meet them at that emotional state. That is unless it's joy and happiness, right? But any of the negative emotions, just do not meet them at that emotional state. And that doesn't mean don't listen to them. That doesn't mean don't support them. That means remain even, because the more you get that heightened emotional state that they're at, that's when the problems blow up. That's when the arguments really happen. So try to identify their emotional state and do everything in your power to not make a statement or react from that same emotional state. Once you meet them there, you lose. The whole relationship loses. Right? So just do your best to say, how do I regulate this emotion? Johnny said, oh my gosh, I can feel her getting angry. I can feel her tone rising. I can feel all of these things. Cool. Not going to meet her there. So then when we talk to them, we ask them in a peaceful tone or a lower tone to bring the emotional state back down, or at least signify that our emotional state is not where their emotional state is, and remain essentially unobstructed or unaffected. Yeah, words are escaping me right now, but unaffected by their emotions. And then that allows them to either seek solace in your calmness and seek solace in your peacefulness, or they'll continue to be at their emotional state and things won't get out of control because you have another person that's not in the same emotional state. So this is probably one of the biggest things that you can do. The second one is remember that listening is more effective than solving. Now, I know, guys, we are expert problem solvers. We are great at it. It's one of the things we inherently are attuned to. But one of the problems with that is when a woman comes to you, most of the time, they've probably already figured out their problem. They've probably already figured out the solution. They're coming to release energy. They're coming to the person they trust and love the most to release energy, and they need you to hold that space. So just remember, part of holding that space is really listening. And how do we really listen? Guys, you need to ask questions. If you're not asking questions, not solving, just asking questions. If you're not asking questions, it's very hard for you to be to show your level of interest in what is going on their side of the house. So when you are sitting there and listening to them, remember that listening is far more important than any comment you're going to say. They want to be heard, they want to be understood. So when you listen, then ask questions. Don't listen and try to solve the problem. This one you guys will struggle with, I promise you. I've gotten a lot better in these years, but before I was not very good at it. And then now I do a far better job. Very rarely will I try to solve a problem unless you use the statement of, would you like me to help solve this, or would you like me to simply listen to you? If you use a statement like that, you can make it very clear on what you need to do to be the best counterpart for them in that moment. But also, you put it very clear in your guys' conversation of what is the best thing for them, right? How are you going to be there for them? And that's my last thing. The last thing is ask them, how do you feel, right? Ask them how they're feeling. That is, women are highly attuned to their emotions. How are you feeling? And how can I best support? So the second one is listening is more effective than solving. This is, how do you feel, asking that question, and how can I best support you? That will go such a long way in your relationship if you start to leverage that, even that one statement. If you missed all the other two and you only take one thing out of this and you hit this last one, you're going to be leaps and bounds above every other man out there in relationships not using this terminology. How do you feel, and how can I best support you? Especially when they're coming up at a time where you know that there's some kind of trouble going on, whether it's sadness, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, whatever they're bringing to you. When you can sense that something's going on, and guys, you know you can sense it. Don't play dumb. You can sense it in their tone, their body language, their facial expressions, all of those things. When you sense this, ask them, hey, how do you feel right now, and how can I best support you? If you pull the big guns out right there, they're going to already feel as though they are disarmed and be far more open to having a positive conversation with you, and having a conversation with you that isn't going to feel as though you're attacked, to where you guys can have something far more communicative and constructive in your relationship. So just remember the 3 tools. First, learn how to regulate your emotional state so you do not meet them in their emotional state. The second is, listening is more effective than solving. And the third is, ask, how do you feel, and how can I best support? Okay, everybody, if you love the YouTube channel, please make sure you subscribe. Go ahead, hit the follow button, hit subscribe, and keep tuning in. We're trying to give some great stuff here on YouTube where we give this information nowhere else. Now, I do have the podcast. If you guys have not checked out the Art of Masculinity podcast, make sure you go over to Apple iTunes if you want to hear more long form audio. Plus, we have the videos that are coming up now on YouTube here, so you guys can view full length episodes here on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe. Please let everybody know what you love about the show. Drop some comments in on the videos, and let's keep rolling. Appreciate every single person that's come on here, does follow us already, has already subscribed. I'm so grateful for you, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling. All right, until next time.